I change your bum life. You fight me, it's a celebration.
I would beat you.
When you sign to fight me, it's a celebration. You ring back home, you ring your wife. Baby, we done it. We're rich, baby. Conor McGregor made us rich. Break out the red panties.
Are you ready?
That goes in the files.
Are you ready? Let's get it all!
Yo, 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 welcome back to the fifth round. As always, your boy, Stephen Moustaris. And man, usually I love these fight nights just because it's like, yeah, you don't have the household names usually, unless we're talking like the last fight night we just had of the year, which was that stacked one with everybody, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Kevin Holland, and literally everybody that you could imagine that didn't fight at the end of the year finally got to fight, and they were on that fight night. So that one kind of stuck out a little bit just because they had to stack that card. But for the most part, you know, we're starting to see these fight nights be, you know, in the Apex, and I know a lot of people complain about it, but, you know, I just love fights anyway, but especially like the intimacy, I've talked about it before, but the intimacy of the Apex arena, like you can hear everything. And even I know they got people in there now. I think they said, a couple hundred people are in there, but it's still like you can hear some crowds, but you're still hearing everything inside the octagon, which I love. The hard breathing, the punches, even the wind that you can hear off some of the kicks and punches they miss. Just the pure power of the slams and the takedowns and what the ground and pound sounds like. That's what I truly love about the Apex. But I can understand why people complain, because it's like, oh, you got this big billion-dollar, company, and we're sitting here throwing them in a little Apex arena. Like there's little, your local shows have bigger venues than this. So I get all that, but ever since this whole COVID thing, it's starting to become a norm. It feels like now where the main event always seems like something's going to happen. Like clearly the whole COVID thing for about 2 years there, where fighters were, 24 hours before the fight, like, oh, they got COVID, can't fight. And, these last second replacements, full cancellations of fights. So, you're thinking like, okay, maybe we're starting to get away from COVID and everything. Maybe, fights will start getting back to the normal and start actually happening. And then, of course, first fight night of 2023, we were supposed to see Kelvin Gastelum fight Nassourdine Imavov, who Nassardine's coming up, one of the biggest prospects right now, and then Kelvin Gastelum, fan favorite. Everybody's been trying to see him fight again, and hopefully get back in those winning ways after losing a couple. But then, of course, Kelvin gets hurt. He posts on, I think, Instagram and Twitter and all that about his tooth getting knocked out, which I'm sure the picture will be up right now, and it's just absolutely disgusting. And I guess it happened in practice and everything, but his tooth got sewed back on, and I guess the stitches and everything won't be out before the fight, so they had to find a new replacement. And then, as much as we fucking hate him, here comes good old Sean Strickland saving the day for once. And, I know a lot of people are probably upset with him. I mean, I think everybody in the world was happy when Alex Pereira knocked him out. And then, he comes back, has that strong fight against Sean Strickland. He has a fight against himself, but has a fight against good old Jared Cannonier, which turned out to be one of the more boring fights of the year, just for, what both of the guys are capable of. So now you got Sean Strickland coming against Nassourdine. And from where I'm at, I thought this fight for Nassourdine against Kelvin Gastelum was going to be, pretty good for him. I love Kelvin and everything, but Kelvin hasn't been the same, for the last couple years. And although he has lost 5 of his last 6, and he hasn't won since Ian Heinisch in 2021, it's like, he still has had all of his battles coming up. Some of his knockouts that he's had coming up just absolutely nasty, like the Tim Kennedy one. Just some of the nasty ones, and of course, the Michael Bisping ones. Then his beautiful fight against Izzy. Like, of course, he's going to be a fan favorite for a while. And I was just really hoping he could get back in there, get one of them, get his patented 1-2, the one straight. Oh my gosh, he's got one of the most beautiful left straights in the game, or did, I guess. And I think that's what it was to say. It was like him and Johnny Hendricks were just vicious with him. And yeah, Johnny Hendricks put people out cold compared to Kelvin, but also Johnny was on the juice, and Kelvin's a little fit, flabby sometimes. So, I was pretty upset for Kelvin just because I wanted him to get a win. But if we're looking at it, it's probably a good thing that he doesn't go in and get beat by an up-and-comer like that. So then here comes Sean Strickland. And, at first I'm like, okay, this is actually really good fight for Sean Strickland, which I think it is still. But then you look, it's like, here's where it's going to be tough, because Nassardine's known to get hit. This man could get hit for sure, and it's probably one of his greatest weaknesses is his stand-up, and, and at least in that first couple minutes where it takes him a little longer to get going. And, you got the guys like Joaquin Buckley that he fought, and I mean, good gosh, Ian Heinisch was piecing him up. I mean, Phil Hawes actually beat him because he was piecing him up. And, there's a certain, and I mean, I know that Edmund Sharbazian fight, I know Edmund kind of got off early, but then, that's what Nassoudine's so good at. He starts coming in, and he's only 27, so his striking's going to, get better, and he's going to evolve more. So, we might even see it this fight on full display. But usually it's like when the fight gets going more, later in the rounds it goes, like he feeds off of, the chaos. He feeds, like, it's not as bad as like Darren Elkins. Clearly he's not that big of a badass, but he is like, okay, I get pieced up a couple times and I'm gonna take him, and then I start noticing you're starting to lose faith a little bit because you can't get me out of there. Like, he starts feeding off that energy that you lose, and then of course that's when you see him start just the unrelentless pace and everything. But this is where Sean Strickland absolutely thrives in. So this is a huge fight. I think this is a bigger fight now for Nassourdine, and a more impressive win now over a Sean Strickland like this. But it is clutch because I think Nassoudine's going to get pieced up a little bit in this fight. I think he's going to dish it out as well too. But Sean Strickland, the high guard that he keeps in the distance, he's so good at distance. He is masterful at that. But it's going to be nice for Nassourdine. He's not going to have to worry about, for the most part, getting knocked out. I mean, you don't usually see Sean Strickland knocking people out. He's really good at touching and going. And this is one of those fights. It's 5 rounds too, and Sean Strickland's always coming with the pace. This is going to be a tough one for Nassourdine, but if he can come out of this one, good for him. That's going to be huge, 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 and it's easily going to get him in the top 5 fight, and we're going to see what this man's made of. And I think, he's not at the Shavkat, like Rakhmonov spot yet, or the Hamzat Chimaev type hype yet, nor the skill at this point yet, but I think he's got the potential. Like, I think the potential is A+, and he's ready to go. So I'm really excited for this fight night. It's a little upsetting now knowing that not only did we lose as soon as I said, Shavkat, we lost that fight, him and Jeff Neal, which I thought should have been main event, but that thing was going to be, I think, the 3rd fight of the night, at least on the main card, the 3rd featured fight. And that got moved to UFC 285. Clearly we're supposed to have Kelvin Gastelum on here. That gets knocked out. And I mean, clearly we get Sean Strickland now, but Sean Strickland is coming off of a boring fight, and this does have writings just because of Sean Strickland's defense and everything, and his just unwillingness to throw hard. He's like a Max Holloway type where he's touching and going, and he's not as dangerous as Max, because Max was trying to get you out of there with numbers. Sean's trying to piece you up, talk shit, get in your head, beat you by just pure numbers and off the judges' scorecard. So it's going to be tough, and clearly we lost a couple other fights, so that's kind of sad. The first fight card of the year was supposed to be so good, and now it's turning into like your average, middle of the year fight card where we're just it's like a filler. But for the most part, I am happy. Shouts out to Sean Strickland for saving the day at least. At least we get some sort of a fight, and it's tough because Sean Strickland wins this one. It's like, okay, cool. This is what you kind of should have done. Thanks for stepping in. Like, yeah, we're going to give you another guy that you're supposed to fight anyway. But now it's like you lose. Like, yeah, the UFC's probably going to watch out for you just because it's like, all right, you stepped in, you saved the day. But it's like, dude, you just lost to a Nassourdine, Imavov that didn't even have a full camp for you and fighting a whole different style of guy. And it's like, you lose this fight, man. Like, Nassourdine's taking your whole, just everything. He's taking all your momentum. He's taking your rank. He's taking all that, and he's taking everything you've worked up to get up here for. And, man, you're going to probably feel bad for – I don't think you're ever truly going to feel bad for Sean Strickland. But I'm just saying, like, from the work that he's put in, like, he's had all these years of work in that can just be taken away within minutes by – literally within 25 minutes could be taken away from Nassordine Imavov. So, very excited. Even if Nassourdine loses this fight – which I thought it's hard. I honestly have a hard time seeing him losing this fight, to be honest. I know how skilled Sean Strickland is, and it's kind of like I was saying about RDA in my last video, if you guys watched it. Like, Rafael Dos Anjos is that guy that's not going to blow you away with his striking ability, his knees, his elbows, his takedown, his ground and pound, like his control time, his clinch work. Like, he's not going to blow you away with one individual stat, but when you mix all of them in together, when he's not an A+ in anything, but when you're a B+ in everything, it starts showing just amazing. Just the transitions and everything is just beautiful, and that's where Sean Strickland's pretty much at in his game of MMA now. It's like, yeah, he's not the most exciting fighter, but dude's just so fundamental, and he's just his distance is at a whole other level too. Like, I know the whole Alex Pereira thing, just because Alex Pereira is an absolute killer kickboxer. I don't know what the fuck Sean Strickland was thinking in that fight. He's even talked about it, but like, other than that one fight and that one example, you cannot shit on this man for his just overall just understanding of distance. He's got that shit mastered. He's not a John Jones level or Alex Pereira probably, or clearly Izzy, like them type of guys. But for MMA, for non-kickboxers and shit, it's very impressive. So, but it's gonna. I don't see either of them really finishing each other. This is gonna be one of them ones that it's gonna be a hard, grueling fight. And I don't want to say fight of the night, yeah, but fight of the year. I don't think so. But I do see it having like maybe like one of the better rounds of the year, like a round 3, round 4. Like I could see maybe like Strickland getting Imavov tired as fuck at the end of round 2 or round 3, or like maybe even hurt a little bit, and then round 3, round 4 he comes out a little too hard, and Imavov turns it back around on him, gets him tired, almost has him finished. Like I could see it something like that, or vice versa. But I don't see a finish, and if it does I'll be fucking impressed by both whoever finishes it. So, shouts out the UFC. I'm fucking excited, absolutely amped for this fight card, and let's go, baby.